Hi, my name is Lucas Crigler, and I'm an ACD at McCann New York. I had the pleasure of working on and coming up with the Mastercard True Name campaign that is very near and dear to my heart personally because I myself identify as a transgender male. The idea here is that Mastercard is allowing transgender and non-binary people to actually display prominently on the front of their card their true name as opposed to displaying the name that they were given at birth.
So I handed him my credit card.
Look down, look back up at me.
Oh, wait, so you're really a girl.
If we see you again, we're basically gonna kick your ass.
My friends were like, the guy has a knife.
Then I was like really paranoid about it and it really fucked me up.
This has been an incredible project for me and our community as it's keeping a lot of us safe from being outed in public, which can cause a lot of major pain points for us, being denied service, discriminated against, and even sometimes we're up against physical violence. So it's really going to change lives, and I couldn't be more proud of the work. This idea actually originated from a personal experience that I myself had in the heart of Manhattan. I was on a lunch break, and of course, it being Manhattan, it was hustle and bustle of New York. I walked into a sandwich shop. I was not as fully presenting male as I am today. I was very early on in my transition, so I was kind of neither here nor there, but people, could, from an outside perspective, question my gender. And I paid with a card that had my name given to me at birth on it. And I was kind of shuffled down the line, and they started calling the names out on each card to come up and pick up the sandwiches. And my heart dropped. I was extremely anxious. I had butterflies in my stomach. I grabbed my sandwich and just ran out because I essentially was outed in public right in that instance. And it was terrifying for me. Actually, at this time, I happened to be working on the Mastercard Pride Brief in 2017, and I thought this could maybe be something that Mastercard could help out with. At the time, I had no idea if it was legal or if they were able to make that systemic change, but I took the idea internally to my creative ECD at the time, Pete Jones, and they loved it. He loved it, and it kind of got pushed through the whole process. And I'm very happy with the support that I've had behind this idea. Coming up with a great idea and seeing it through to fruition, there needs to be a lot of stars aligning. And, it comes from, me sharing my personal experience, but then on the other end of that, I need people who are going to listen to me. It takes a bit of bravery, I guess, for myself to be out and be open in the office and to share my experience. But then if the workplace is nurturing enough to that and open enough to those experiences and listening, then it really takes a full team, just as with any idea, to kind of push it through. And luckily also the other star that aligned was that Mastercard, their brand ethos is really all about acceptance and different and championing different people's experiences in life. So, and helping to really, I guess, like helping people throughout their experiences. So the process of this started really just with an idea pinned to a wall. And, again, another star that aligned was that it was Pride, and it was around Pride, and we had the Pride Brief. So they were already kind of looking for diverse and inclusive experiences to kind of lean into. So that also worked in my favor. I'm very grateful for that. And, it started with an idea pinned to a wall. Another star that aligned for me was my partner at the time, copywriter partner, Hope. Hope Nardini, she's great. She's always been in my corner. I was a little timid in the beginning because I didn't have facial hair, and she was always a person who was standing up for me and saying, if I was misgendered, would help, in the situation, kind of diffuse it and make it a little less embarrassing for everybody, just and then we just continue on. So it was kind of funny because I was also new to McCann. So we put these ideas on the wall and they went through and some of them had check marks and some of them had like question marks, and True Name actually had a question mark on the piece of paper to the wall. And I thought that they understood the idea, but that they just thought it was like a maybe, right? So we went through all of the work, and they were kind of leaning towards different ideas actually. And it was Hope that went up to the wall as a true ally and said, hey, why not this idea? This is a good idea. Why did you put a question mark on there? And it's kind of funny because it's like we questioned the question, or she questioned the question. And that's just true advocacy as an ally, is to just come up and really kind of fight for an idea. And as it turned out, they didn't understand the problem. They didn't understand the idea. So that opened the door for me to then share my experience and explain to them, this is a true problem within the transgender community, and share with them what it's like to be trans, and share with them the hurdles that we're up against. So, and then me being an ACD, of course, it has to go through the, CDs, ECDs, all the levels, internally. Once it got through the rounds of CD, ECDs, we went down to the Pride festivities, and we hit the ground running with a street team film crew in Pride, Manhattan. We went down to the parade. We interviewed a bunch of other trans and non-binary people to make sure, that there was some, substance, to make sure that there was more voices being heard than just mine and my solo perspective. And as it turns out, that validated my experience a lot, because it was amazing the responses that we got. We asked them, what are the extents that you go to avoid, or what's it like using a card with the wrong name on it? And they all said exactly what I do. They would Venmo their friends, they would carry cash, they would just try to avoid the situation altogether, using their cards. So, and then, we offered them the idea of like, what would you think if Mastercard created a card where you could put your chosen name on it? And they lit up. And it was dozens of them. So we crafted a really emotional pitch video, or essentially, like a pitch video where we sent it to Cheryl Guerin, the Mastercard marketing director, and she's just awesome. It brought tears to her eyes, she said. So she used that video and that emotion, and she sent it around to everyone internally in Mastercard, and she kept pushing for it. And there was never a set agenda for this either. This was one of those proactive ideas at this point, because as it turned out, I think they even did something different for that particular Pride. I can't really remember the timeline here, but I know that like every meeting that they had with FaceTime with Cheryl, and then Cheryl, every meeting that she had that might not have even pertained to Pride or be LGBT issues, they would tail end each meeting with the video, So sometimes if you have a good idea, they would just keep kind of putting it in front, like, don't forget about this idea. Don't forget about this idea. Even if it's 4 minutes on the end of the meeting, hey, like pulling people aside and just not letting it die. When you're onto something good. It's funny because just with any idea, you get closer and closer, it dies 1,000 deaths before, and so sometimes I would hear, we have some bad news, Lucas, and I'm like, it died again, but then the next day, oh, it's back, we have some great news, it's back. So, and again, like, it's just the system is, you just got to keep fighting for it. And I think that just, yeah, it's it's been a process, but it's been worth it in the end. Don't ever feel like you're being a pest, I would say, as advice, because you know in the real world, business is business. People are just busy. And I don't think that you shouldn't take it personally if you keep getting no's, because a lot of times it's just a bureaucratic thing. It's not necessarily like a personal thing. It's more like, oh, we don't have the budget this time around, or we don't have, maybe they don't have the time, or the resources at that time. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the idea isn't good. So keep fighting for your ideas, and keep pulling from your own personal experiences. Having diverse teams is really the heart of an agency, I think, a successful agency anyways. And I think that it's really important to make sure that you're not just getting one perspective. So I think that's where, the best work comes from. And sometimes you don't even know the problem that you're trying to solve. So it's not even about, having the more diverse you are in an agency, the more you even know what problems you're trying to solve for certain groups of people. So that's important. It's from a strategic level all the way up. Being marginalized and being part of a diverse group might at times in the real world make you feel like you're alone, but in advertising, you are actually a huge asset. So don't ever feel like you can't bring a different perspective to the table, no matter how obscure you might think it would be, or unknown to the rest of the group, because that actually is a huge asset. And I think that agencies should champion that a lot more. And I'm lucky that I was heard, and that happened for me. But keep pushing, and if the agency isn't working out for you, there's always other ones that are more accepting. I'm always trying to teach people how to be better inclusive in advertising and just in life of transgender and non-binary people. So I have a presentation that I've done to externally and sent it around. So if anybody's interested in that, feel free to email me, reach out. And yeah, if there's any transgender and non-binary people out there that would like more of an advertising community, I'm always looking for that. We're rare. I didn't know we were I knew we were rare in the world, but I thought there might be more of us in advertising. But it's hard to pinpoint, and some of us are stealth. So but yeah, I'm always here to listen, to help advocate for people. And I just want to say that this experience has been really eye-opening for me, and made me really realize that I also need to do the work of listening to other people's experiences, because yes, I'm transgender and that's how I'm marginalized, but I also, and I have the female experience, which has been, really useful in my life, because I can empathize with how, what it's like to be a female in the industry. Because I've been in advertising over 10 years now. And so I've only been transitioning for 3. So, but I'm also a white male, which I don't take for granted. It's really important to recognize that, there's a lot of intersectionality within our own community, and that trans people of color are very much more at risk and don't have as much privilege, and it's really, I just try to help as much as I can from where I am. But it's just something to acknowledge that my experience is my experience, and that the trans experience could look vastly different for a lot of other people. And I'm just happy, that the Mastercard work is helping somewhat, at least, but we have a long way to go.